Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Homestead Heart. And today we about to get down with the get down. We about to can this balsamic chicken. Now, you all, I've already did, as I promised, I already did the video, a little short video telling you about all of the ingredients that you were going to need so you can gather them ahead of time. Okay? So what we're about to do now is just jump right in, okay? But for all of you who may be catching this video for the first time, we are canning balsamic chicken, all right? Now what you're gonna need, I already have in my bowl 3 cloves of minced garlic, okay? You're also gonna need balsamic vinegar. You're gonna need about 1/4 cup of honey, although I might use a little more. You're gonna need some mustard powder. Now, if you don't have mustard powder, you can always substitute mustard or Dijon mustard, whichever you prefer, but I prefer the mustard powder, okay? You're gonna need some thyme, some dried thyme leaves. You're gonna need some salt. You're gonna need some pepper. Make sure that salt is not iodized salt. Make sure it's either canning salt, kosher salt, pink salt, no salt with iodine in it. That would make for an ugly product, okay? You're also gonna need, I'm using white pepper, but you can use black pepper if that's what you have. I'm using smoked paprika, but use whatever kind of paprika you want. Or if you don't like paprika, don't use it at all, okay? I'm also gonna be using, Tony Chachere's. Why? I put this stuff on everything. Okay, y'all, let's go ahead and get to it. Now, in my bowl with my garlic, I'm gonna go ahead and add, let me chop this up first. I've already pulled my rosemary off the stems. If you're gonna be using fresh rosemary, make sure you all, make sure that you don't get those little woody pieces in there, okay? Don't nobody want no wood in their food, okay? So make sure you get them little woody stems. You leave them parts out. Like I see him. See what I'm saying? No. We don't want to bite down on that, right? Nobody don't want to bite down on that. So we got to make sure we get all them pieces out. And I'm just going to chop this up into smaller pieces. Okay? Into smaller pieces. If you got dried rosemary, that works fine. And like I said before, if you have ground rosemary, that works fine too. In fact, I have some right here. So if ground rosemary is what you have, you can use the ground rosemary as well. Okay? All right, you all. So now, this is probably going to add up to be roughly about 1.5 teaspoons to 2 teaspoons of rosemary. I'm going to sit that to the side. In this bowl, right here. First of all, let me do my honey because I've already put some oil in my little measuring cup here for my honey. Let me angle y'all down so y'all can see. Yeah, y'all got to be able to see. There we go. All right. So I'm going to add in my container roughly, it should be about 1/4 cup, you all, of honey. But I'm going to do about 1/2 cup because I have a little bit more than 5 pounds of chicken. Oh, if I didn't tell y'all, you need 5 pounds or so of boneless, skinless chicken thighs. It's the star of the show. I forgot to say that. You need boneless, skinless chicken thighs. Now, if you want to use chicken breasts, chicken legs with the bone in, chicken thighs with the bone in, you can do that. The only thing about using the chicken thighs with the bone in is that you won't be able to get that many in the jar. Okay? But I'm using boneless, skinless chicken thighs, not breast. Like I said in my it's thighs. Okay? All right. Set that to the side. Oh, I need that. Now I'm going to add in 1 cup of balsamic vinegar. And it could be whatever kind of balsamic, whatever brand that you find. You can get a brand that you prefer of balsamic vinegar, okay? And again, I'm using a cup of balsamic vinegar. All right. Now, inside of this bowl with the garlic, the honey, and the balsamic vinegar, I'm going to add in a full tablespoon, in my case, a heaping tablespoon of mustard powder, okay? Come close. Don't be afraid. Of mustard powder, all right? Where's my whisk? Ugh. Grab my whisk, and I'm just going to give this a whisk. And I'm going to whisk this together until I can no longer feel the honey. I need that honey to be all in here, right? Mixed all around in here, all around in here. Okay? And that mustard powder. It's going to take just a second. Y'all going to love this balsamic chicken. That's all I can tell you. It's good. All right. There we go. All right. Now, we're going to set this to the side. We're going to set that to the side. Then we're going to start on our chicken, you all. And I got a mess to clean. I'm just moving everything out the way. Come on. Sit that there. All right. Now I'm going to grab my chicken. Over the top of my chicken, because I am, again, doing a little bit better than 5 pounds, I'm going to sprinkle over a good tablespoon and a half for me of smoked paprika. I'm going to sit that to the side. I'm going to come over with about a good teaspoon of thyme, okay? I'm going to add in a teaspoon of white pepper, or a little more in my case. I'm also going to sprinkle over some Tony Saturates. Okay. I'm going to grab a teaspoon. I'm almost out. A teaspoon of salt. Again, you can leave that out. I think I'm going to do just a little bit more of the salt. Now, you all, you don't have to do this, but I'm going to. I'm going to sprinkle in about a good teaspoon of red pepper flakes, okay? It's not going to make it too spicy because it's a lot of chicken. So it's not going to make it spicy at all. All right? Now, at this point, if you want to add more garlic powder or onion powder, you can. But I'm not doing that. Okay? So now what I'm going to do is put on my gloves. Why? Because I don't feel like getting fat and grease and chicken stuff all out from under my fingernails. I got stuff to do. I ain't got time for that. Okay, so what I'm going to do, let me go ahead and open my bag. Because remember I told you you were going to need either a bowl or a little baggie for your chicken, okay? So now I'm just going to get in and toss all of this around, okay? Just going to get in and toss. Because I got to make sure that I get all of the seasoning all over my chicken, every piece of chicken, right? So that's what I'm working on right now, is making sure every piece is well seasoned. Y'all see that? Yeah. All right. So now, that's what my chicken is looking like. Ain't that looking good? Oh, yeah, that's looking real good. All right. So now all I'm going to do, first of all, I'm going to take this first glove off. I don't need that anymore. And I'm going to start gathering my chicken, and I'm going to put it in this bag. And again, if you have a bowl with a lid, that will work as well. Okay? Hope I can get all my chicken in this bag since I am a little over the 5-pound mark. I'm way over the 5-pound mark. Take this glove off here. And I'm going to set this to the side. Now you all, I'm going to take my marinade and I'm going to pour this over my chicken. If you have any honey left in the bottom, just go ahead and scrape it out. But I'm good. All right, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and zip this up. Woo, that's a nice big chunky bag too. And I probably got too much in this bag. But as long as the marinade get all in the bottom, I might have to go back and divide this into 2. But I think it'll be okay. Because let me let some air out of here. All right. So now you all, I'm literally just trying to make sure that marinade is all through my chicken. That's all. Leaving upside down. Don't do this if you ain't got no hefty. Don't turn it upside down if you ain't got no good bag. It's gonna be all over your counter. See, this would be a lot easier if I didn't have it all packed to the rim. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna wash this bowl out. I'm gonna put my bag down in the bowl. You see this? See, this is why I put this marinade or this chicken in this bag like so I can really give this a good twist and turn and toss. Okay, so you all, I'm gonna put this in the refrigerator. This is gonna sit overnight. I'm gonna lay it flat in that bowl, and before I go to bed tonight, I'm gonna come back in and I'm gonna flip it on the other side. I just want to make sure everything is getting a taste of the goodness. Okay, so I'm gonna get this in the fridge overnight, you all, and then I'm gonna see y'all in the morning, and we're gonna start canning up our balsamic chicken. Y'all stay tuned. All right, good morning, good morning, good morning. Let's go ahead and get right back to it because it is time. Okay, I got my chicken that has been marinating all night long. This meat all through it should have taken on not just the flavors but the color of that marinade as well. That's how you're gonna know if it's soaked all through. That's why before I went to bed last night, I took the time to come back in here and flip this over so that the marinade that may settle on the bottom, well, all this chicken gonna get this goodness. All right, so what I have here, I have my pressure canner. It's cold. I have 3 quarts of water. That's an All-American pressure canner. It allows me to double stack quarts, okay? So my canner calls for 3 quarts of water. If you don't know how much water goes in your canner, you need to look at your canner's instructions. If you don't have the instruction manual, go ahead and Google your canner and how much water is supposed to go inside, because it is going to vary based upon the brand and the size of your canner, okay? So, y'all, for my canner, I got 3 quarts of water, okay? I have my wide mouth canning jars. I have my lids here. This water has not been on the stove, but it is hot water straight out of the tap. All right, that water is going to start to cool down. I have my vinegar right here that I'll be using to clean the rims of my jars. Any remaining vinegar that I have left, it's going to go in my canner. I put vinegar in the canner because it helps with keeping my jars from clouding up. I don't think I really would have a problem with that without water, but I always do it as a precaution. Okay, what else? I borrowed my paper towel holder to put my bands on because it's going to hold them in place. And they're right here. What is it? Oh, okay. How you get down there? Seriously though. Oh, okay, there we go. Okay, now you all. Oh, I have my paper towels to clean my rims, and I have my all new magnet debubbler. One of our viewers sent me this baby, and I am about to love it. This is my first time using it. So I'm gonna use it on camera. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, so y'all, the first thing I'm gonna go ahead and do is we're gonna look at this here chicken. I don't know why my camera is doing it. I do not like this camera. I'm gonna go ahead and take this out of the bag. Yep. Now I could pull this directly from this bag and just put it in the jars, but I'm gonna show y'all how beautiful this chicken looks. Okay. So don't splash. There we go. Oh man. See, that's what I'm talking about. Put my one glove on. There is nothing else I have to do to this chicken. I put all the flavors in it yesterday. Remember? All the flavors are in this meat from yesterday. Look at that. Just look at this beautiful chicken. Can y'all see that? All the flavors from the marinade are all through this chicken. And that's exactly what we wanted. Now, I'm going to show y'all something. I'm going to grab my little measuring cup here. I'm going to grab just a little cup. What I'm going to start doing, I'm not using a funnel because it's just easier to drop the chicken in the wide mouth and go back and wipe the rims later. So, now remember when I said if you're using chicken thighs with the bone in, you probably won't get that many inside of a quart jar, depending on the size, okay? So, with the bone out, I know I can get several in the jar. So that's 2 already. That's 3. That's 4. That's 5. And I'm going to press that down in the jar like so. All right. Now, you all, I'm going to show y'all something here. This marinade. I'm just going to add a little bit of the marinade to the top of that jar. Y'all can't even see. But I'm adding a little bit of marinade to the top of this jar right here, okay? Then I'm going to grab my debubbler and I'm going to debubble my jar. That marinade is going to go down in the jar. But I'm using my little debubbling tool here. Whoops. Now, this marinade here, you can see where it has come up in the jar, right? You can see it's about right here. I'm not adding any more liquid to this jar. This is going to do it. Because not only is these chicken thighs going to add additional liquid and broth and all of that is going to start to come out of the meat itself. I don't need to add anything more. So just that little bit right there. It's about halfway the liquid is. With me adding just 1/4 of a cup of the marinade to the jar. Okay? I don't have to add any more liquid to this. So I'm going to set this to the side. I'm going to get them all filled before I debubble them all. Okay? So I'm just going to grab my jar. And now I'm just going to start filling my jars with my chicken thighs. Remember, you can do this with chicken breast. You can do this with chicken legs. You can do this with chicken thighs with the bone in. Even. Okay? Now, this chicken thigh is pretty big, so it's going to be too big for me to finish off that jar. So I'm going to have to find one a little smaller like this one. And I'm going to add my 1/4 cup of the marinade to this as well. And I'm going to set that to the side. grab me another jar, and I'm gonna keep this party going. So come on, let me angle you down so you can see. Now, one thing I forgot to tell y'all: if you really want this to be good, there are three things you're gonna need. Okay, other than the ingredients, there are three things you're gonna need. Okay, you're gonna need a good spirit. You're gonna need positive thoughts. And last but not least, you're going to need your Cannon Squad shirt. Now, it's going to be good without the Cannon Squad shirt. But if you want perfection, if you want utter, pure perfection, you need your Cannon Squad shirt. I'm just letting you know, Cannon Squad, you need your Cannon Squad shirt. Okay? Let's do this. Okay. So now you all move my little spoon out the way. All right. So now, I'm just going to go ahead. That's a nice big chicken thigh right there. I'm going to go ahead and get that in. And these chicken thighs will vary in size, right? So it's kind of hard to decide, like, how many jars am I going to need? I don't know. It depends on the size of the pieces of your chicken, okay? So I just can't say you're going to need 5 jars. It depends. All right? And when I cleaned my chicken thighs, I did take off a lot of that fat that's just like hanging off the thighs and whatnot. I took that off. I did, because I didn't need all of that extra fat. But then there's some fat that's just on the thighs itself, like here. I left that in because that's going to give it some really good flavor, okay? Oh, these both are some very nice sized chicken thighs right here. Those are pretty large. And then you see how small that is. Now, I'm always trying to get about 4 or 5 thighs in each jar, okay? Come on, marinade. I'm only scooping up about a half of this little measuring cup here because it's got the chicken in the way, so that's why I'm having to do it twice. And I'm going to sit there to the side, and then I'm going to grab my, looks like what's going to be my final jar here. See that? And this, again, was about 7 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken thighs, okay? And that's literally all of it. I don't have anything left in this bowl. And I am going to pour over my marinade. Okay, so now that I am done with that, you all, I'm going to go ahead now and start to debubble all of my jars. Let me take this glove off. I don't think I need this anymore. And I'm just going to go ahead and debubble my jars. And debubbling, for all of those who are new to canning, it just means you're using your little debubbling tool. Mine looks like this, but you may have one that looks like this, okay? It's a head spacer and a debubbler, okay? So you may have that one, but this is the one that was gifted to me, and I'm using this today. It has a little magnet and everything. So I'm using this tool right here to debubble. And that's just where I go around the edges of the jar, releasing any air pockets that could be inside of, let's see, this jar. See how I'm moving that around without making a mess? I'm trying to show you. See? Okay? Just moving everything around, making sure there are no air pockets in this jar. I can't go down the center because the chicken thighs are taking up the center of the jar. So I can't go in the center. I can only go around the outsides. Alright? So I'm going to go ahead and get all of them debubbled. Okay, and last jar. Alright. then I got a jar to hold my debubble. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do, this one has a little marinade at the bottom right here. I think what I'm gonna do is just go ahead and add a little more to that jar. Just a little. If you add more liquid, you gotta debubble again, okay? There we go. So now it's just about at the halfway mark for the marinade. This marinade, this chicken, once it starts releasing its own juices, is going to blend with that marinade. It's going to raise the level of the liquid up a bit more in the jar. And when it does that, then all of the chicken now is going to be hanging out in this marinade until you open this jar and be ready to eat it. I got to tell y'all, this is good. This is really some good stuff. Mr. H loves this. Okay? All right, y'all. So now I'm just going to grab my paper towel with my vinegar. And I always talk like this because I try to keep in mind everybody who may be new to canning. If you're going to use vinegar, make sure you, if you're going to be canning meats, make sure you use vinegar to wipe the rims, okay? Because you want to be able to remove any grease, any fats from around the rims of your jar, because it will keep your jar from sealing. This jar concerns me, okay? I'm going to take everything out of this jar because I don't like to run my hands across the seam of the jar and feel the jar bulging out at the seam. See, listen to this. You hear that? That's the seam of this jar. I don't like that. When I run my hand across the seam, that should be smooth. See that? Here's the seam of the jar right here. See it going up? That's the seam. And when I run my finger, it should be smooth. It's not smooth here. In fact, you can see the seam very good. Listen. I don't know if y'all can hear that. See that? To me, this says this jar could possibly break or explode in my canner and ruin all of my chicken. So, not only am I going to take this product out, I'm not going to throw the jar away. I will use it for maybe something like spices or something like that. But I'm going to mark this jar so that I know I can never can with this jar. Okay? And that's the reason why you always check your jars. Even go around the rim of the jar to make sure that you don't feel any nicks or any cracks. Because if you do, your lid will not make proper contact with the rim of this jar and it won't seal. Okay? All right. So what I'm going to do is pour this out. Grab the other jar, which feels fine. Now I got to nasty up my hands and put this back in this jar. Here. And now I'm going to add the juice back to this jar. Wash my hands. Okay. Now I'm going to debubble this jar. Mrs. H, but your meat is not at the 1-inch headspace. Don't worry about that. Don't you worry about that. Okay. So now, and I'm not concerned about my meat not being at the 1-inch headspace mark. Because like I said, the liquid that's going to come from this, all of this, you're going to see. It's going to kind of float itself. It's going to raise itself on up in this jar. I'm not worried about that right now. Okay? Because if I put another piece of meat in here and bring it up too high, what's going to happen is it's going to start to push too much liquid out. My jars could not seal as a result of siphoning. So I'm going to help it not to siphon by giving it plenty of space in the jar, okay? Now, for all of the newbies, when you're wiping the rims of your jars and you get that gunky stuff, Be sure you flip your paper towel over because you don't want to continue to wipe your rims with a nasty paper towel, okay? So make sure you flip that over so you're not just putting the same stuff right back onto the jar. All right? And like I said, when you're canning meat, make sure you wipe that rim really good. And to save my paper towel, I'm going to use the other end now. I'm going to use the other end. And grab this jar and clean. Actually, I'm just going to use this same one, even though it's nasty, to get all of the grease off initially from these jars. See? Look. Stuff like that sitting on the rim of your jar can keep your jar from sealing. So you gotta make sure you clean all of that stuff off. Now I'm gonna grab a clean paper towel and now I'm gonna go back and wipe the rims very well. Awesome. Nothing there, but I'm going to fold it over anyway and just continue to wipe down the rims. Okay. All right, y'all. So now that my rims are all cleaned up, let me hit this one more time. So that only gave me 5 quarts, all right? Now that my rims are all clean, I'm going to grab my lids here. Just use the little magnet. The little magnet is just so cute, right? Just make sure you're not picking up 2 lids, okay? Let's get them on here. I just love this magnet. Look at the difference. Look. It's a powerful little magnet right here. I like it. Okay, now that I have my lids on, I'm going to grab my bands and get my bands on. Now for all of the newbies, do not crank down on this, okay? Listen, I know everybody's when they say fingertip tight, some people are way stronger than others. Some people fingertips are strong enough to lift a refrigerator. Okay? I mean, literally, with their fingertips just lift. I'm just kidding. But I'm just saying, some people are stronger than others. So when you put this on, when you get to that point where it doesn't want to turn anymore, that first level of resistance, then I just give it a light. That's it. Okay? We don't want to over tighten this jar. That's why it's going to be fingertip tight for me. Don't crank down on my lids, okay? Alright, so this gave me 5 quarts. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and get these in the canner. I just turned my fire on high because I'm going to get these in the canner. That look good? And this is what is called raw packing, okay? This is raw packing because we did not pre-cook this, all right? We didn't saute it or anything like that. It's a raw pack. It's just a marinated raw pack. So this is still raw packing, but boy, is that beautiful. Just look at that. Okay, so now I'm going to get my lid on. And then I'm going to lock it in place. Just turning it, okay? And then I'm going to tighten the wing nuts on this. If you got an All-American and you're new to canning, remember to tighten your wing nuts, each one opposite the other at the same time. Now, again, make sure that you oil this. Make sure that you oil this and the inside right here, okay? And the reason why you do that is because you don't want this thing to get stuck when you're pressure canning and then you'll have to send it back to the Wisconsin Aluminum Foundry for them to open it up if you can't get it open. So remember to keep it oiled, okay? Because this is metal and metal. There's no gasket on here. So I'm not tightening this up all the way, all right? I'm just putting the wing nuts on, and they're being held in place first. All right. So now I'm going to go back and tighten them just a little at a time in the order in which I first put them on, okay? And it usually takes me 3 times to get them good and tight, okay? And that's it. The fire is already on high. Now this, I know how long it takes my pressure canner, especially if it's a cold canner. It takes my pressure canner, if it's a cold canner, 35-40 minutes before it even starts to vent. If I have it double stacked, it'll take it that long. Being a single stack, it won't take 35 minutes. It probably take like 20-25 minutes, okay? Because I only have 5 quarts in here, so it'll heat up a lot faster, okay? So I do have it on high. But once we start venting, once we get to that point where we are venting, and that's when our little vent pipe right here is going to be shooting up a steady flow of steam. It won't be sputtering. It won't be just spitting out a little water here and there. It's going to be forcefully pushing out steam from this canner, okay? I get this question 1,000,001 times. I'm probably going to get it today, and it's going to be 1,000,002. But you all, what's my altitude? Mrs. H, how much weight should I put on for my altitude? How can you find that out? You can go to whatismyelevation.com. Whatismyelevation.com. Put in your zip code. It'll tell you what your elevation is. And from there, you will know exactly what you need to do when it comes to the weight here. How many pounds of pressure? Now, in the Ball Guide to Canning, it tells you. In fact, oh, I don't have my book here. But in the Ball Guide to Canning, on the first few pages, somewhere between 1 and 8, it will tell you if you are at 1,000 feet in elevation or less, how much pressure you should be canning at. If you are above that, how much pressure you should be canning at. So you're going to have to do some research, okay? All right, y'all, so this is what venting looks like. As you can see, I got a steady flow of steam coming right here. It's coming right up out of this vent pipe right here, okay? And it's already been doing that for 10 minutes. So now that my 10 minutes is up, remember for my altitude is 10 pounds of pressure. So now I'm just going to go ahead and add my weight. And my weight has the number 10 right here at the bottom. I don't know if you can see that or not, but the number 10 is right there. I'm going to go ahead and just pop that on. Hold on, make sure, because I ain't got my glasses on. Okay, yeah, that's 10. So now I'm going to go ahead and pop that on. Don't do that at home. Do not try that at home. But I'm going to pop my weight on, and it's at the 10 pounds right down here at the bottom. I'm going to go ahead now and allow the pressure to build up in the canner. Once this reaches about 11 pounds for me, this weight is going to start to do a nice little rock steady jiggle, right? And once it does that, I will gradually reduce the heat on my stove from high to the temperature that holds my canner at 11 pounds of pressure, okay? And that's going to vary depending on the kind of stove you have. But for me, I know exactly where the sweet spot is on my stove. So when I set it there, I know this is going to hold for 11 minutes, okay? I'm sorry, I know it's going to hold at 11 pounds of pressure. Now, once it reaches 11 pounds of pressure, that is when I will come and start my timer. And that timer is going to be set for 90 minutes on these quarts. Again, if you're doing 1.5 pints 1.5 pints. And or quarts, it's going to be 90 minutes on the clock. If you're doing pint-sized jars, it's going to be 75 minutes on the clock. All right, you all? I will bring y'all back in 90 minutes. Okay, y'all. So the canner is done. This is still hot. Take that off. So this canner has been down from pressure now for about 5 or 6 minutes. I always hear that. I always give this canner a chance to just kind of chill out for a second. Just because it comes down to 0 don't mean you want to rush and take everything out right away. Okay? I like to let it just chill out for a minute. So it's been sitting like this now for a little over 5 minutes, almost 10 minutes, I'll say. But I just took the weight off. And now I'm going to go ahead and start opening up my canner. These babies are on here tight. Now, what I have started doing when I'm pressure canning, if I'm pressure canning something that's going to be over an hour, y'all, I'm telling you, when I take this lid off, I let this chill for another 5 minutes. All right, y'all, that's going to do it for the balsamic chicken. That's 5 quarts out of the canner. Now, one thing I'm going to make sure that you all notice is the fact that, remember I was talking about how that liquid was going to rise in the jar? Look at that. That's all the way up just under the 1-inch headspace mark. Okay? So that's why, and all of them are just about like that. Some are just a little bit shy. Okay? But it's still way up here to the top of the jar. As you can see, it's still way up here. And that's for all of them. So you don't want to put any other liquid in that jar outside of what I showed you, where I brought it up to maybe just under half a jar, that marinade, that is. Because the chicken is going to release more juices. And as you can see, the jar is full. Okay? And so that will prevent your jar from siphoning. And then, of course, all that stuff getting underneath the lid, preventing it from sealing. So that is 5 quarts of balsamic chicken canned. That's going to do it, you all, for this video on canning balsamic chicken. Voila. And yes, y'all, it is absolutely amazing. It is so delicious, and it is blessed and highly flavored. All right, y'all, if you haven't done so already, go ahead and give our video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any videos that we upload to our channel. All right, Cannon Squad, we're going to talk about what's coming up next in another video, but make sure you got your positive spirit, right? Your positive thoughts. You got your Cannon Squad t-shirt on deck, and we are gonna do it up. It's that time. Thank y'all for watching Homestead Heart. Peace and blessings to each and every one of you. I'm gonna see y'all in the next video.